Hello, and welcome to a Happy Salad video thing. We're in a car.
Yep.
We're playing a game.
Yep. Rob doesn't actually know what it's called.
I do. It's called Infinifactory. And it's pretty new. It's like the radio going scan called this guy just breathing really weirdly. Oh, ooh, that was cool. Oh, there's lots of things happening.
It's things.
Oh, they're coming for his car.
They're coming for his car.
Not him. It's for his car.
Yeah.
This would be a different type of abduction.
You just like fall to the ground as the car disappears around you.
They really like Land Rovers. Carbduction. Actually, that sounds like some kind of theft of carbohydrates.
Carbohydrate. That'd be bad.
Now, are we getting factoried?
Yes, slightly.
Oh, at least
Turning
there's...
Master Chief shields on.
Yeah. Okay, now look up at the light. And then look down at the thing. Or could we look up at the thing, look down at the thing?
Oh, that we can.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus, I forgot how sensitive this is by default.
Ni hao.
Ni hao.
Hola. Hello.
It's very assumptive.
Yeah, it is a lot. You haven't even set a language yet.
No.
It would be great if it, like,
Hang on, let me just-
listened to your Steam language.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Well, maybe it does.
Yeah.
We don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe it's smart. Right, turn that way down.
Konnichiwa!
Everything else is probably fine.
Okay, also, what's going on here? I
Okay, good.
don't remember Spacechem being a first-person shooter.
No.
Ugh. Okay, they're just giving you the ability to build blocks, no explanation. It's like, here, blocks.
It's all a part of a test. Well, you can do this. It's much easier.
So you have unlimited blockage.
Well, yes, you do.
Use jetpack.
Oh shit. Wait, there is another control we need to find.
Turn off jetpack. Oh yes, descend, yes.
Who uses control? I mean, most people is actually the answer to that.
Yeah, these controls are default controls like that for a reason. There's a dead guy.
Yes. Hear the failure log.
I'm in control. This is my dream. I can wake up at any time.
Stand around, listen to this, do
I'd
you?
like to wake up now.
Summoning one of these cubes.
Oh
Naturally.
God! What was that? This isn't real. This is just a dream. I'm in.
Fooling yourself, woman.
Jesus! That must be a 30-foot drop. This is just a dream. Time to wake up.
Good job.
Hey.
You suck.
Yeah. Start the factory. Chicka-ta-ching, chicka-ta-ching, chicka-ta-ching. Disappear.
It's the magical output square.
Conveyor belt.
Now do it yourself.
Now build this.
And speed it up.
Hey.
Get that done.
Rotate blocks.
Now learn how to do it with this bit.
Music's got very epic suddenly.
You turn it down a little bit much.
Yeah, it's fine. I can still hear it. Listeners could probably still hear it fine.
Oh yes.
Listeners. Watchers. Videopers. Videopers.
Hooray, we didn't die in space. It's these two-door options. I like that.
So can you go the other way and die?
No.
No, it just makes it either way.
Well, it's like the tutorial segment is like, you succeeded in the tests. They didn't eject you into space. And I don't know why South America's all fucked up. It's like, this must be the future or something.
Yeah. In some way, it does look a bit bad.
It's like, Africa's fine.
Yeah.
And then aliens.
What's up? Happy music. Why did everyone go right?
Because they all failed.
A lot of people went right.
They all failed at running a factory.
But they weren't running a factory. They were just choosing left or right.
No, it opens for you. It doesn't let you choose.
Oh. Why wouldn't the door do that door not open if you failed at those factory challenges?
True.
Ball. Is that his name? Ball. Or is that? This goes on for a bit.
Yep.
He doesn't seem to care that much.
Nope.
Oh, the light's broken. Subtitles.
There's no subtitles for this. And then he leaves.
And he leaves. Okay.
Enough of that. And then eat some food pellets. Oh no.
This is a bit weird.
Right. That was
and now we actually get to the game.
Yep.
Okay.
Well.
Ooh, I see.
Yes. All the puzzles are on little floating islands in various backdrops. Right. 3 blocks, 3 exits. Just have to get them there.
He's definitely stepped up a bit since Spacechem. Visually.
A little bit.
Who's the guy? Who's the dev? Zachtronic man?
Yeah, Zach something. I don't remember his last name.
Zachtronic Industries. I see, stuff can just fall.
Yes, the arrows show you when stuff's falling off the end of the conveyor belt.
See, how handy.
I need to actually catch this one before ground level. Wait, where's it?
So I'm assuming this ends up being a lot more than just conveyor belts.
Well, naturally.
And also, why can't the aliens solve these rudimentary puzzles themselves?
Well, that gets explained later on, to some extent, in the story. Is there any story thing in this level?
Because the aliens have lost all of their intelligence.
Well, it basically boils down to they're lazy.
You need the
And of course, it's still early access, so you get these survey.
just right.
Turn it all on to normal.
Does it force you to type those before you can carry on?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
The conveyor belt. It's the first block.
Conveyor is the most common tool used in the construction of factories. Apart from metal. Just the existence of metal.
It's the common tool though, so I guess it'd be something you use to bend metal.
Other metal.
Powered by deleters, it should not be deleted under any circumstance. Not actually deleted though. You can delete them.
Yeah.
So what we got in puzzle 2?
Should have said eaten.
Oh, it's the
So,
welder.
thing plus thing equals thinger.
Finger. So let's see here. Oh yes, this is the welding training. You have to make a 2-block output. And now you can look at this.
You actually can't just stick them next to each other.
No, they actually have to be stuck together. So...
Okay, so definitely some of the old Spacechem ideas coming out then here already.
To some extent, but like the bonding isn't quite the same as welding. This one. Well, the main difference is you can't unweld.
Okay, right. Welding is permanent, yo. And so that's how it works. Is that as long as they pass through the
Yeah, the beam goes through the blocks that are going to be welded.
as long as they pass through at the same time.
Yes, which they should do on this level because it's symmetrical. I hope I've erased that correctly. I'm good. make from them.
Oh, and they don't tip over.
No. It's like the gravity is a bit weird. There's no like angular gravity, I guess.
Okay.
It's like things fall.
So you could put like just the left side of a very
long
beam,
pole, yes.
yeah, and it wouldn't overbalance.
It's kind of important later, obviously. So that will tell you about the welders and the generic platform block. Welders. Use concentrated deleted energy.
Concentrated cock energy to permanently attach adjacent blocks.
Puzzle free. Oh yes, this is telling you about the important technique of delay.
Oh, I see. So they'll
push onto like the flat blocks,
Yeah.
and then when one pushes on the other end, it knocks it out.
they'll get shoved off.
Which is basically for this puzzle where you're making the triple length block. You obviously want to have a bit of the old welders.
Yeah, you need them to. I see. Okay, gotcha.
So that should do, I think.
So the welders only activate when all of the connected stuff
it will hit.
happens. Okay.
No, actually, I've overdone it. I've overdone it. Added one too many stopping square. That one.
Does it look like it failed?
It just goes map and then shows you how you failed. I think that's the right way around. Yeah, that's better.
I know it's just because it's made of squares. This reminds me a little bit of Rush.
Okay. But they're not like walking squares.
No, they're not walking squares. It's not Choo Choo Rocket, really. But there's some of the delay mechanics and stuff were important there to stop stuff from hitting each other.
Yeah, like finding the route in that to some extent. Now what? Oh, vertical welding. So I'm trying to think of exactly how I want to do this. It's been so long since I did this first set of levels, and also like when you come back to it, you have all the other blocks that you've got through the rest of the story.
Okay. So you just do it in some quicker way.
Yeah, just do it in a better method.
Yeah.
So
To improve your score.
So how would you do this?
We've got plenty of steps behind you. Can you go up there?
There's probably an audio log up here.
What's your log?
There is.
Oh, there's a dude.
Let's not listen to all of those because that'll take extra time.
Is it a failure log? Is that guy
Yes,
alive?
they're all failure logs.
They're all dead.
They tell you how they failed to some extent.
Do they act as hints in some cases, or?
Sort of. Oh, I know how you want to do this. You want to lay the bottom one and then have the top one drop directly onto it and then weld them. Actually, I'll probably need to do that a bit lower down because I need space for the welders.
Then how do you push them off?
Now you've got to do it one square further out. So the first block shoves onto that, and then the top one you need to have be one square further forward.
The factory will only work as long as you've got one dub product left over.
Not always.
In this case.
And not really. I mean, it gets used to some extent. Right, let's see if that's actually in time, because I don't know. Just finish this bit there. Is that going to work?
Yes. Dog. Things move nice and slowly.
Okay, good.
Dunk. Weld those blocks.
Good old average result.
Yep, perfectly average.
Meow. Oh no, it's the failure dog.
Failure dog.
If only they really should have said that. Play
failure dog.
Just listen to a dog barking for a while.
Factory noises.
Yep. So what we got? We got an L shape.
So how did that dog get past the factory test?
It's a good question, really.
What happened to the end of that sound anyway? Poor dog.
Poor dog. It died.
Oh. Seemed really unhappy about it.
Yeah, I imagine it would have been.
Oh. I'm dead. I want to be dead. I'm a toad.
So these two are much closer together, so that one's going to have to be the slower one.
More delays.
Yeah. Probably just want to bind this one off first. No, weld, not bind. Spacechem. It's the wrong terminology.
The binding of binding. Let's get binding. I see. So the blocks cut. Yeah, I suppose that's how you make it so they hang in midair, right?
Yeah. Actually, there is gravity on like blocks you place.
Okay.
Which can be important if you want to do something particularly fancy.
So you have to build something.
That'll work. I just have to sort out this bit. Should be there. No. I feel that world was going the wrong direction. Is that right? Yeah.
That looks it. See more belts.
The belts!
Hey.
The other thing to talk about here for a moment is
Pew.
this game is like Spacechem with the histograms, but whereas in Spacechem it was cycles and symbols, in this case it's cycles and footprint. And footprint is slightly different because...
So it's not the number of blocks you've put.
No, it's not the number of blocks, it's the vertically projected footprint of the solution.
Oh wow. Okay, so if you like build vertically...
Yeah, so like building welders above conveyor belts saves you footprint.
Huh.
Because you're not putting them next to it.
So in a weird way you've kind of messed up there because of these blocks here.
Yeah, exactly. But also the other thing that changes with footprint is it includes like the swept area of the product.
Oh, okay, right.
So if you're building like a big thing, it's like if you're building...
So in which case we haven't messed up because the product would have to...
Yeah, the product sweeps that square anyway. But then, so if you're building like a really long pole, it's actually better when you get rotators to rotate it in line with a conveyor belt because you're using less footprint.
Okay.
Rather than having it stick out the side of the conveyor belt as it sweeps along. Which is kind of weird. So yeah, that's how you score on this game.
Interesting.
So as you can see, you can't really do very much better apart from this little one. Is that actually a tiny bit of bar there?
Yeah.
Someone's done it with a very small footprint.
There's one step over as well. Just look, there's a tiny bar there.
Something like 30 footprint instead of 56, which I did it in.
Wow.
It's interesting. Oh, it's time for a performance review. Yep, pretty much.
That leads back. Are they wearing... Oh, I was about to say, are they wearing Spacechem badges?
Have a trophy.
Okay. You obviously don't understand what...
No. Oh, no.
If you don't eat them, do they just keep filing out?
I don't know. There was a weird glitch, which I think they've since patched in one of the early patches, where every time you came back to the cell, they were all standing up vertically, because it would reset their orientation.
That's kind of cool.
So let's have a quick look at the start of Skydock. We should get 3 more blocks on this puzzle, so that should be... That's Skydeck. It's different. Oh yes, this is where you start getting the sensors and pushers.
Alright, yep. Shovers.
Shovers.
And bits of stuff that you can't do anything about.
Yes, like default parts. So
what does that do? That's just pushing it into a wall.
Yes, that's just making these all queue up on this conveyor belt, basically. So you just need to push them off the conveyor belt.
Does the factory stop if, like, you can't...
No, if you've blocked the inputs, it just doesn't input anything until the blockage gets out of the way.
Okay.
So you can use that to, like, delay as well.
Okay.
So we should just be able to do this with a pusher. Oh, and if we can... we can use the... First of all, I'm using this to stick it in midair, so I don't have to build a block under it. Not that matters in this case, but also use the vertical sensor to save footprint.
Okay. What does the sensor do?
Well, it activates whatever it's attached to by the cables.
Okay.
So in this case, it activates the pusher.
Ah, I see. Do we have to build the cables?
Yes.
Oh, that's what the conduit is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jiggly, jiggly, jiggly. Shove those things. Wheel.
It doesn't appear to be a much better way of doing it. There's like slightly less foot. How is it possible to have slightly less footprint?
Well, maybe... I mean, that bar's a big square bar, so maybe that doesn't represent... It's like I'm on the left-hand side of that. So maybe that doesn't actually represent less.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of higher ones.
Well, yeah,
like,
of course
what's that guy doing?
He was just messing around. Unless that's like a really fast score, of course.
No, maybe, yeah. Yeah, because there was some fun. Like, again, how do you make it quicker?
Well, you could make... Well, that's something I actually haven't been doing, actually, if we go back for a minute.
Or could you just make, like, lots of pushes along the line? Or...
Well, what you can do, which I haven't been doing, is you can change the input rate.
Oh, I see.
So you can slightly speed it up. Like, so if you have... Like, by default, they come out with about 2 blocks in between.
Yeah.
But if I put it to maximum, they come out entirely next to each other. Which in this case doesn't actually help you that much, because you still have to push them sideways.
Yeah. You still end up with the same gap.
Yeah. Well, if you had multiple pushes, you could probably get them back into a full, or at least a 1 gap line, I guess. If you merged 2 conveyor belts back in at the right time. So that would probably make it quicker.
You just have a sense. Well, could you have it, or you could do it with at least 3, couldn't you? By hang on, let me have a go. There we go.
Yeah,
I want to do something different. How do I? What
the solutions on the right. Excuse me.
Oh, I see. So it reloads what you did.
Yeah, you can save the solutions basically.
Okay. So, okay. How do I delete?
Right click.
Screw that. Oh man, non-invert.
Well, you can turn that on. If
Non-invert.
you want to change it to invert.
Oh my god.
Crazy person. Originally, there wasn't even invert in the game on the release.
Wait, hang on. I can do even better than my original plan then.
Can you?
Okay. How do I rotate?
Q and E.
Okay. So presumably, if I use the one sensor, I'm gonna have 4 different runs going into this block from 4 different sides.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that does make sense. But presumably, that still might actually not be fast enough.
No.
Because the output will be blocked.
Yeah.
You'll have 4 blocks arriving and then they'll still have to cram in there.
Yeah.
Do you want me to just lay out the rest of this now that you've proclaimed your idea? Because I'll probably be quicker with your non-inverted invertedness.
Hang on. Get in there. Yeah. I'm pushing all the right buttons. Oh.
You're pushing the right buttons, but slightly too soon.
All the right buttons.
You've messed up the end of that first belt as well. No, not that one. The other side. No, not that one.
What belt?
To the left. You've got it falling off the end of that belt.
Leather belt.
Just stick 3 more pushes onto the side of that one.
5.
You can also middle click to pick up the block you're looking at.
Yeah.
You can't drag out pushes and the cable.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Run it. Chunk. And then go down here and look at the things. See how close together they end up.
They do get a little stuck.
Yeah, there's like... Ooh, just on the edge of that bar.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
There's like a 1 block gap in that. You could hear it go ding, 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 ding.
Ding.
It's like, if you could time it slightly better, maybe you could get it.
Yeah, if we could get a delayer in there somewhere.
So, we've got a choice of 3 puzzles now. Let's skip to the last one to actually get slightly further ahead to more complicated stuff. This is where it starts getting actually complicated. I guess. It might have been on one of the previous puzzles. So now we've got this rocket to build out of 3 different types of part. Which come out in... This is another thing that's slightly different from the Spacechem, is like the inputs always come out in the right proportions.
Okay.
So like for this rocket there's 3 mid-sections to every 1 top and 1 bottom.
Okay, so it will always spit out the 3 before the other 2 come out.
Yeah. Well, they come out first.
Yeah, the first one comes out, yeah. I know what you mean, sorry.
So, this level is actually sort of tricky in some ways.
There's a dude.
Yes, there's a dead dude down there. The other thing, which makes this level slightly tricky as well, is you only have, at this point in the game, you only have gravity to work with.
Right.
So
you can't lift stuff up yourself.
Yeah, so you have to get the engines onto the bottom before everything else.
You couldn't push something up and just be like, push,
no.
and then quickly weld it while something else comes underneath.
You don't have vertical pushes either. Ever, in fact. The only thing you get later in the game is like a elevator, but it only goes vertically upwards. So, what we want to do is build a welding stack on this belt to weld the 3 bits of rocket together. Hopefully.
Something to make it stop.
Yes, this is the trick. Because now you actually have to think of a way to...
I see. So hang on. Let me think I'm getting this right. You can make it stop by putting a platform on the bottom one.
Yeah.
But then having a... Oh no, that wouldn't work because they would fall past. No, ignore me. I've got no idea.
No, you see, this is where it gets tricky because you have to. If you look at how these are going to come in, the top and the bottom arrive at the same time. So you basically need the bottom to be waiting for everything else to arrive. So for the last section, you're going to need to push it off that last block with a pusher using a sensor.
Yeah.
So you probably will need to do the same thing here. So once 3 blocks have stacked up and been welded, you put the top on, and then when it senses the top, it pushes it onto the next bit of conveyor belt.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But that also means you need to extremely delay the top bit. So the second one actually needs to arrive before you let the first one off.
What's a good method of delaying then?
Well, you just use the blank squares to...
Well, you
add one to that belt, so the second top arrives before the first one gets pushed off there.
Oh, yeah, that would be pretty close, I suppose, because then you need all the free rocket bits.
Yeah, you need the free rocket bits there already anyway. So we should be able to do it along these lines. And the other trouble is, where are we going to put the sensor? Oh, wait!
Wait, do you need a platform somewhere?
We could actually do it the smart way. Use the sensor as the platform.
Ah, I see. Genius.
Actually, that might not work. Because
don't you need to weld it on as well?
You'll sense the rocket sections on the way past in that case.
Yes, that was what I was thinking was wrong with my plan. Because my plan was to put a sensor like the block below that one, so the rocket would build up, and then of course,
once it gets to the top,
it would hit the top one and then push everything.
See, that's the other problem with these sensors is this.
They fire every time something just passes.
Yeah.
Okay. Not just stops.
Now that's confusing. See, this is the problem. I came back to this puzzle again, and when you have you have a blocker, which is like the inverse of a pusher, and that obviously helps immensely, because then you can just delay for a very specific until a sensing opportunity.
If something hits the sensor, does the pusher stay out while
the sensor is still obstructed? Yeah, the pusher stays out, so you can use it as a blocker basically to some extent. What am I actually doing here? Let me look. So the top obviously arrives way too soon. So we do still want probably that.
Use a welder.
Oh yeah, we probably need to put one more block of welding in. Oh no, that's not even going to be... It doesn't arrive, so we need to put this slightly further back up the belt probably. Maybe right at the start. I don't know. What's the timing like on there?
I think I would change the timing, would it?
And then, yeah, you're right, of course. Do we?
So you need one on the middle as well, or some balance between the two.
Or an alternative way to do this. Yeah, but have a look at this. When does it arrive? What you want to do is sense when the third rocket bit arrives, but the trouble with that is because of the way the pushers work.
Oh, right, well, yeah, you have it. Yeah, the pushers would push immediately.
Yeah,
that's still a problem.
That's the problem. That's the one problem. See, that's why vertical sensing is also useful as well, because then if you're vertical sensing, you tend to have less problem with things being in the way of the horizontal sensors.
What if you delay the stack long enough, the bottom bit long enough, and use that as a sensor to push the whole column into a spot, and then push the top one based on it moving into this new location?
Well, no, we can just use the top bit as a sensor. right?
I guess.
So when the second one arrives, the 3 will already be there.
But then how do we push it off
right?
from that point?
Well, then you use a pusher. Oh, damn, it's not going to get there in time, is it?
You would delay the top one by 1 block as well.
What, the top?
As in the mid bits.
Yeah, but then that's going to be annoying because they come out in threes.
And that's perfect.
Arguably. I guess this is going to have to be how we do it because this is actually... So we can we put the welder back in there? I think we can, right?
Well, yeah, if you get rid of your platform and use that as the...
But then...
But we'll put your welders this side.
Oh yeah, right. I remember we'll be using the other thing for sensing, aren't we?
Yeah, but your welder...
We don't actually need to because the welders will attach like this.
Oh, they work like that, okay.
Yes,
cool.
It's actually something that I didn't realise for quite a long time, is like the welders work at all different angles. Which can be quite useful, particularly if you're using... You can use like a top welder and a side welder and still weld 2 horizontal blocks.
Weld.
Weld. So how are we looking now? And then when that second sensing is it clear for the first? Yeah, so we can use the sensor there because there's nothing on the platform at that point.
Yeah, I think you're right. That would just about work.
So let's quickly build that. We need pusher and a sensor somewhere. Let's build the cable first. Gonna fuck up my footprint. Make sure I'm facing the wrong direction. Oh shit.
No, not quite.
Do we need... we can't make that any more delayed, can we?
Not really.
Because you bring the sensor further up the belt doesn't actually help, that makes it worse.
Why did we delay the middle stack again?
Delay what's that?
The middle stack.
Because the top bit doesn't get pushed off fast enough.
Oh yeah.
Would putting it 1 square further forward actually make any difference? I think it would it? So this bit's the problem.
Yeah, because it pushes it. Of course it would, because it pushes the block before.
Yeah. Could we still use that though? Could we just push the top off in a different direction and have it go onto like another belt and meet up?
If things aren't welded and the pusher pushes them, does it just push the things out from under them? Or does the whole stack move?
No, there's no friction basically.
Okay. Could you... I'm wondering if you could use the pusher as the... Because presumably the outstretched pusher doesn't trigger a sensor, right?
No, yeah.
So you have something come in, and while it's sat there, it's triggering the pusher to be out, and then the things go donk, donk, donk on top.
And then when it...
Yeah, and then when the next block comes and pushes it off...
But it will still be in the sensor again.
Yeah, it will never not be in the sensor, I guess.
Apart from a fraction of a second, but that's not long enough for it to fully retract. This was probably the hardest puzzle in the early section of the game. This actually stopped me for a long time the first time, and I'm completely confused. It's so difficult to go back when you don't have all the options.
Are there any blocks we're missing? That we haven't...
No. We're all good. We got all of them. It's the right idea. Wait, maybe we can trigger it with this.
Yeah.
Maybe we can actually trigger it with the bottom part. That would probably work. If we do this with a conveyor belt and then a delay, and then sense it on the next part. So once the second rocket engine goes, then it pushes it and then it should meet up, right?
Maybe.
Something like that.
Some shit.
Let's try that. Trying to work out where I even want to put this cable. Let's show it around here. And we need to sense probably on this square somewhere. Worst possible cabling. fuck up the footprint real good.
It'd be easier to just go one block down and around that way.
Probably.
Oh yeah, but then the stack would be too tall, maybe, to get around the table.
Well, okay. Apart from the fact that I pushed it off like this.
Oh, yeah.
That all worked apart from that. And then that, and then...
The pusher needs to go there.
The pusher needs to go here. And then you want to sense the... Oh wait, we also need to weld it, don't we? Shit. Let's make these welders. No, not that welder. Yep. If we can get it timed, we wouldn't even need to stop there in theory. But I'm not sure we actually can get it timed. It's actually pretty close. If that sensor was there, so it was one block slower.
Yeah, you don't need that. Yeah, you don't need that sensor where it is.
Oh shit! No, I'm gonna need it like that because I'm gonna need to put the sensor over here. Oh god! All this cable and all of this. It's a terrible mess. We'll do it the much nicer way around the bottom. So where do we actually want it? There. Like one square delayed from where it was. Is that right? Oh, wait. I forgot to actually put the cable on! It's an important part of that process. Oh, now I've actually screwed myself though, because I am going to need to go all the way around.
Or, you can't just go up there.
Well, I still have to go over the length of the whole rocket. Which is, what, 5 squares? Which doesn't affect the footprint technically because you're going vertically. Is that right? Do we have it? Are we done?
Oh.
Yeah! No, wait. Forgot the rest of this.
No, oh shit!
The important part. Success!
Hey.
That's timing, that is.
Oh, sneak!
It's also a not very good solution. Oh wait, hang on. Let's see if we can how good we can make it by speeding up the input. How fast can we get the input without it screwing up? I reckon this will probably screw it up. Yeah, pretty badly.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Let's turn it down maybe a couple.
No, that one gets priority still. Too many.
No, that's still too much. We can do +3.
Oh, just. Oh, that. Yeah, that works.
No, we've got the escapee block.
Oh, how does that work?
I guess that technically works, probably.
Oh, yeah, but how did the escapee block happen?
Do you want to actually see?
Yeah.
Watch the middle sections of the rocket up the top. You see when the top goes on. It sits on there and it gets pushed off by the next bit.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Escapee block! I think +2 might work. So do play that.
Ooh, just.
Success! Marginally faster.
What's the point in making it like count down so many?
Well, it's just to ensure you didn't, cheat it somehow.
You didn't just make it work once.
Yeah, like work a big pile of stuff in the distance that is messing up eventually. Not that 10 is actually a very difficult number to do and still have a big pile of crap somewhere.
Yeah, actually because you're up the input rate. Above average.
Yes, very slightly.
Perfectly average on the footprint.
Well,
I see. Yeah, tricky.
Yes, so that's... Should we
kind of cool.
Should we quickly jump out and go into like one of the really late levels so I can just... Not to actually play it, just to show you one of my solutions, since we can download my save.
Okay, fine. Cut.
Slight pause of video.
We're back.
We're back. Oh, get rid of that. Okay. Now let's go to one of... Well, not one of my custom puzzles, but I can probably show you one of those, maybe.
Custom puzzles.
Let's go to... not any of those. Those aren't particularly cool. That's the classic fun. Nice chair.
Yeah.
Let's do... What are my solutions like? Oh yeah, let's look at the terrestrial surveyor. This is
172.
an incredibly bad solution for this puzzle. I haven't gone back to change this one yet.
But it's the one that most people have got, it seems.
Look at this fucking horrible mess. So this is what you're making. A thing with tank treads and then a T-shaped bit and a blob.
Okay.
So over here we've got...
You've got some terrain to deal with.
Yes, you've got some annoying terrain to manage. So over here we've got... This is where the armour blocks that make the T-shape come out, so that's what this is all doing. It's making a line of 3 and then pushing it back and then dropping the extra one on top and stuff. Then you just add like the extra bit on top. Then you rotate it, send it down this belt, levitate it up here to get onto this top bit, so that when you've got the tank treads which are being made over here, they go on either side, the top bit falls into the middle, gets welded on, and then levitates back up over this little extra bit of conveyor belt and into the end. So this is actually an incredibly ass solution, and also like this is where you had to start doing clever things like because you could attach blocks that you place onto pushers and blockers to actually move them.
Oh, weird.
So like what this does is this is a blocker rather than a pusher, the orange-faced one. So that immediately extends and moves that levitator out of the way. So when the sensor that detects the body part is in, and when it's all welded together, it pulls that levitator back in, and that's how it gets it out of there.
Huh.
So let's have a look at this ass of a solution. So as you can see, that's not too bad, I guess.
I see.
So ass.
Oh, it works. I was in place and then go.
It works, but it's very, very slow. I've got like a double delay on the tank treads line, and all this vertical movement is super slow as well.
And it's got to come back down again.
Yeah, and then it's got to fall back down again.
Well, that's a bit way of doing that without lifting the whole thing up and down, right?
Well, I probably could have... I don't know if I could have made that a shorter lift, actually, because there's quite a lot of other stuff below it that takes up a lot of space.
But surely you don't need to lift everything like you're doing there. Like the whole thing goes up and out.
You kind of do, because of the way I've run out of space here. Originally I wanted to move both of these out of the way and have it like drop down onto a conveyor belt instead. But I didn't. There's not enough space there to fit the pushers that you need to move them out of the area underneath it. Because the way the levitators work is if they're under any square, they levitate. So you actually have to, like, even if you're just using them to go up, it's like the block on it will float up to the top of the range, but then in order to do anything at that point, you have to use a pusher to push it out of the levitation zone, basically.
Okay, sure, yeah.
So yeah, that was that ridiculous puzzle. And then just to finish with, let's have a look at one of my puzzles. I've been making a series of puzzles based on the idea of keys.
Lock and key, okay. Keypad fail.
Yes, I was trying to make a keypad, but then I realised that there's actually really easy ways to bypass the puzzle.
Right.
Let's look at my improved lock and key puzzle. If I go in here.
Oh, you've made it so there's like a pathway that it has to get through or something.
Yes, and also it'll automatically load my solution. So here's the trick. Here's the key, which is basically just a bunch of blocks. So the idea is you have to make the key, but in order to prove that you've put it into the lock, it has these things at the end.
Right.
And
what do they do?
I'm not sure if I can show you this, but if you go down here to this convenient hole, these are stampers at the end of the lock, basically.
Oh, okay.
So in order to prove that you put the key into the lock, you drop the key in, push it against the stampers so the ends get stamped, and then you can output it.
I see.
And also I made it so you have to rotate it as well. So because of the way rotation works, you have to have clearance all the way around, which is why there's a big room in there, basically.
Okay, yeah.
But then also, in order to rotate the key, you bring it in straight. It rotates once to the right to align with the lock, and then you rotate it again to send it out to the output. But in order to do that, in order to do the pushing into the lock part, you have to be able to push forwards and pull it back again.
Right.
Which is what all this is what all this extra shit's for, because basically the way I've done it in this solution is I had to make a handle that you then remove before the key exits the lock.
Right.
So if you see up here, once you start the input, it basically just queues up like 18 blocks, which is what it needs to build all the key and all the extra handle part, which is what all this does. If I just run this. So as you can see, it builds this whole stack. And then over here, you've got the handle part. Right, better get out of the way because this is going to rotate in a minute. Whoop. So this handle section allows you to deal with the rotating pushing task.
And then it just... Oh, I see, because it can destroy them.
Yes, then it removes it all.
Bash, 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 bash.
So yeah, that was quite ridiculous.
That's quite an insane solution.
Yeah, there could be better ways to solve that. But yeah, that took me quite a long time to make. The whole lock thing is quite a pain in the butt. And I mean, there's another version of this where the lock, instead of having stampers at the end, it pushed the products out of the lock when you put the key in.
Right.
So you had to jiggle the key backwards and forwards to keep pushing product out at the end. But then I realised that stampers probably is much better as a legitimate solution to that problem. So yeah, that's one of my puzzles. Find it on the Steam Workshop.
Woo.
Along with not very many other ones at the moment, because not very many people have got to the end of the game, which is where you get to the puzzle editor.
I see. You have to prove your worth.
Yep. Spoilers. Don't look at any of that shit in the window.
I don't understand what I'm seeing, so
No.
It's fine.
Okay, well that's that. That's
Alright then. Infinifactory.
Infinifactory.
It seems pretty cool.
It's like the sequel to Spacechem in 3D.
Yeah.
Although, in my opinion, being in 3D actually makes it easier.
You reckon?
Yeah, because the way...
More room?
Yeah, well, yeah, more room to work with, but because the way, like, things lay over each other in Spacechem, and you have to, like, consider things intersecting a lot more.
Oh, sure, yeah. There's more chance of collision.
Yeah, that makes it a lot more complicated. I think 3D actually makes it easier.
But that probably is a good thing.
Yes. And also there's slightly... In general, like, the way, like, the sensing and the pushing works, it's sort of simplified. Because, like, in Spacechem, you had all sensing for, like, specific atoms and stuff. Like, only if this is carbon, then do this shit. And there's no unwelding, so there's no unbonding equivalent.
Okay, sure.
That also makes it easier. I mean, there is the grinders, but that's not exactly
I suppose there's no, like, weird combination stuff, is there? You don't need to, like, always
like,
add
fusion.
atoms, yeah.
Yeah, none of that. There could theoretically be. He's not done adding stuff to the game, and he says there's going to be new mechanics in the mini-campaigns he's adding.
Sure.
So
It's technically early access, but the main campaign is done.
Yep.
Cool.
Yes.
That seems
I
alright.
think it is.
That seems alright. Well, thank you for joining us on this Happy Salad video thing. You can go to happysalad.net to see more of this.
Yep.
Not
this.
Not this, but, you know, more of...
You can probably hear me talk about it on the podcast.
That you can. Which will be being recorded later today. Not that that is any relevance to this video.
No.
And the order in which I work on them all. Blah. Go to @SaladCast for your Twitter updates whenever we have new content. You can also find that on facebook.com/happysaladnet. That's about it. Like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like, subscribe.
Like, subscribe. Like, subscribe.
Yeah, I mean, like, subscribe, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on. Thank you! Factories.
Factories.
Sinking! It said it sunk!
Has it just sank the wrong way?
I think it might have done.
Park it.
Park it!
Park it.
Park it like a tar. Park it like a tar.
Okay. That sounds like some kind of, like, what BBC would use for a snooker advert.
Yeah, just a really bad pun.
Yeah, exactly. So it's about standard procedure.
And Steve Davis trying to get at you. Park it like it's hard. Park it like it's hard.